Okay, so I'm here in the church grounds of Sacred Heart Church in Laytown, and I'm just going to give a brief tour of the grounds and the church. The church was built in 1876, and at that time there was actually no road outside the church. There was virtually no population here at the time. Things were very, very quiet. There was maybe a handful of people living up in St. Patrick's Square, which is about maybe a quarter of a kilometre up the road. Laytown had a little fishing village, which was about a kilometre and a half away. And Bettystown is down about another kilometre and a half down on the other direction. And once again, if people wanted to come to the church, because there was no road, they had to access the church by means of the beach. The original church was built for 200 people, and it was rectangular in shape with an apse at the back of it. The new church was built just 40 years ago, and in building the new church they decided to leave the gable wall of the older church. The parish had decided, because of the growing population in the 1970s, that they would build a new church and that it would need to seat at least 800 people. They believed that it wasn't possible to build a church on the site for 800 people, and so they'd actually purchased another site. But when the architect who was engaged to come, he came along and looked at the site and looked at the other site that was proposed, and he felt that the site beside the church was a much better one. And there was some concern that you couldn't fit 800 into a church on this present site, but he said with his design he would manage to do it. And so he maintained the gable wall of the old church, which is here, and then he built a new circular church to the rear of it, between the road and the beach. And the new part is linked with the old part through a glass tunnel. So you can just see the glass tunnel here. Either side of the gable he installed a little water feature, and from the roof you can see that there are gargoyles on the new part of the church with chains going down into the water feature. And so every time it rains, all the water on the roof of the church actually drains down through the two gargoyles, one either side of the tunnel, and it fills the pond. So that when you enter into the main part of the church, you're walking over water either side. And this is symbolising the fact that we entered the church through baptism. The waters of baptism are poured on us as children or as adults for many people. And so remembering each time we enter the church, walking over the waters, it reminds us that we are baptised into the family of God. What I'll do now is I will walk around the other side of the church, and just so on this side as well, that it is a similar feature. You have the water, and you have the gargoyles once again. So I'm not sure if there's anyone in the church. If there is, I'll just be quiet. But I'll walk into the porch area in the church, which is this glass tunnel. On the left-hand side, you can see that there are some stones commemorating those who were good towards the church, the early church. And then we move into the porch area itself. The porch was designed to be bright and airy, to link with the older part of the church, and also to provide an overflow for the newer part in times when perhaps the crowd was too great. Probably at this stage you can see the main feature of the church when you walk in is the large window feature. And there is somebody in the church, so I'll go out again and maybe come back later. As you know, this is the time of coronavirus, so we have our note here on the door, just saying that in the interest of health and protection of life, all public masses are suspended until further notice. There's also links to the parish website and to the Laytown Church YouTube, telling people where they can find some information. So what I'll do is I'll go out of the church again, because as I say, there's people praying there. And perhaps we'll go out the back of the church and you can see what is behind the church. So it's a beautiful day. Earlier this morning when I celebrated Mass, it was less than 1 degree. And in fact, it was a hard frost last night. So we're walking around the side of the church. And you can see there may be a little bit of wind that you're hearing at this minute. There's a bit of a breeze blowing through. And here at the back of the church we have the beach. And on the beach there are plenty of people who are taking exercise at this time. They're all enjoying social distancing. There's certainly plenty of room there to keep your distance from each other. And I'm not sure if you can actually see from the video quality here, but there are actually 2 ships which have come out from the estuary, from the Boyne estuary, and are making their way out into the Irish Sea. As I say, it's a beautiful day. People are out enjoying the sunshine. So looking back at the church, we have the cross, which is about 20 metres high, overlooking the sea. And there is the church with the large window. Plenty of people that we know out there. There's Rory and Petra walking their 2 dogs. I'd say plenty of people taking the opportunity to come and to enjoy what the beach has to offer here. Many of whom come up from the beach. We have access via a path here. This path would have been here from the early church from the 1870s. And this is how, as I said, the people used to access the church. They came from Bettystown and Laytown along the beach and made their way up through the gate here and then into the church. So I'm just not going to go out onto the beach itself just at the moment, because you can hear that there's families there. And for child protection reasons, I'd have to be editing out the video, so I'm not going to do that. So you get a good angle on the church coming up here. It was supposed to look like the stern of a ship from the beach, from this angle, showing how the nautical team was maintained. Over that way towards along the beach, you're heading over towards Skerries, and you're heading towards Balbriggan beforehand. And on some days you can get very good clear views of the mountains of Mourne looking the other way. But today they're just a little bit in mist. Yeah, just can't quite see them. There could be some cloud up in Northern Ireland there. But it's a beautiful day here at Laytown. We're coming up the other side of the church now. An interesting thing about the new part of the church is that apart from the large picture window behind the altar, there are no windows on the walls of the church. There you can see the tunnelled area, the porch area. Inside we have our Trócaire Lenten campaign materials to help us be ever conscious of those who need our help in difficult times. And I think what I'll do is I'll just end this video and use it as a video of the exterior of the church, and then maybe I'll do a separate one inside when there are fewer people about.